specific clip. Obviously, people get bored of it after a while. But that was taken from the pilot, and although a lot of the show is stand-up, as I've done in the past, you know, microphone and a bit of ranting here and there.
That stuff, yeah.
We've tried to use the television studio, and one of the things we've decided to do, it was actually Richard Curtis's idea, my partner on the Adder. He said, why don't you, because a lot of the stuff I do is kind of recognition, you know, the gunk in the bottom of your fridge, the gunk behind the cooker. Why don't you do a demonstration, a la BBC, you know? So you know how they say cookery, and you smash your eggs, and there you are, 2 perfect eggs in your bowl. Now, we all know that you're going to spend the next 5 minutes chasing that bit of shell round the white, you know? And the egg white is in that kind of glutinous consistency where you can't, you know, it always moves away again the minute you... So, we thought we'd do real demonstrations to prove, you know, what real life is. So kind of farties guides for people like you and me, rather than the super people that occupy television. But I must stress that's only a tiny little part of the show.
It sounds and looks grand to me.
It's going to be very entertaining.
And the topicality, of course.
Well, there'll be a touch of topical. I always like to open. I noticed you did a searing opening monologue there tonight. Right, I have to launder the seats after that one, too.
Well, thank you for writing it.
Not only, well, I was going to say, not only that, you pinched one of my gags. Pinched the credibility gag. I mean, and frankly, didn't get a laugh. It's got to be said. And you tried it again later, and it still didn't get a laugh. And that was going to be my opening line of the show. I was going to say, welcome to the Man from Auntie, a desperate attempt to claw back a bit of credibility after doing Wogan, and you've blown it.
I knew you would do this.
Well,
that's why I thought I'd
You preempted, didn't you?
Get the retaliation in first.
You're a tinker, you always have been, you always will be. It's your right, Twinkle, and you twinkle me. You've done me. Opening line gone. My producer's having kittens upstairs.
The topicality you'll put in. The show goes out on Thursday.
Yep.
And you're going to record it when?
On Wednesday night. We're not going as live as we used to on Friday and Saturday live, because frankly I'm getting too old. I mean, as I once said, it's a bit of a nerve-wracking thing, live telly. I mean, here we are. I mean, as I once said, I'll drop a name here. As I once said to Gloria Honeyford. And I think that sent a shiver of star-spangled recognition around the audience. It certainly grips the bowels, that live television, and it's not good for your digestion. I always say the backside of a stand-up comic ages at twice the rate of the rest of his body. I tell you, I'm only 30, Tess, but my bum's as old as you, and that's the truth of it. Can remember the war. Anyway, now that's not fair, and I'm being silly. I'm being a sausage. But yes, there'll be a degree of topicality. So we'll open the show, as always, with a little opening monologue, and then the wider thing. I like to think any good comedy, I hope's got a relevance, and that makes it topical. It could be about things which are always the case, like sort of the embarrassments one feels in one's everyday life, the anger you feel, or it could be about what's going on. So there will be topical material, definitely.
Yeah, but you will be accused once again of selling out, you see.
Well, I've just finished a 70-date tour. I sold out every gig, Tez. I'd like to see you. What do you mean by selling out? What's this? What's this?
Well, that's what you're implying. That the implication is, appearing on this kind of thing, certain people, the people who used to watch you closely at 3 o'clock in the morning on Channel 4.
No, it's marvellous.
Yeah.
What, you mean doing Terry? Doing the Wogan show?
But call the Man from Auntie, you see.
No, here I am, getting slagged off for doing Terry. I bailed you out while you were wallying it up on a Costa del Mar. Getting your suntan, sombrero, buying your plastic bull. I bail you out and you slag me off for it for 5 months later.
Have you still got that one I brought you back?
It's pride of place on my mantelpiece. I sit on it occasionally. No, that's Channel 4 jokes. Channel 4 jokes.
Have you pledged your soul now to the corporation?
Are you talking about... Well, I think we've got to get some theme into this. Are you saying that by doing that, first hosting the Wogan show, being Tezza, filling that dent that you left so warm and lovely for me only a few months ago, I was swimming around in it, it's got to be said.
With a 50-year-old backside, yeah.
With my love, yes, with my, exactly. You've been listening, haven't you? I thought the eyes closed.
Not very closely, no, not closely.
If by doing Terry and also by being on the Beeb, is that a question of, I don't know, joining the establishment? I mean, I think, God, it would be nice to be a part of the establishment, maybe a slightly different establishment. I mean, I've never sought, the kind of, to hide one's light under a bushel, so to speak. If you've got good stuff, you should try and get it to as many people as possible.
Absolutely.
So, but that doesn't mean that you are a chattel of the Beeb. I mean, it's a good company. They produce some comedy which I would be, honoured to be mentioned in the same sentence with, so it's a good place to work.
Does this mean you won't be going up to the 6th floor for tea with with the DG?
With the DG? Well, I don't know. I think I've gone further. I know you. I mean, I don't need to... He hasn't probed. He hasn't sent a memo. I must say, I've not been asked up there. If I were, I might well go up to see, because these are corridors of power, you know. I mean, I'm looking forward to my MI5 vetting now I'm on BBC One. You know? So, yeah, if they asked me, I'd go and say hello. I mean, comedy and communication isn't about pose. There's too much. I've been doing a few interviews for this... because the show's coming out, and a lot of questions. Oh, what about the image, and will you still be wearing a suit? Yeah. I mean, it's content that matters in comedy, not. I mean, the reason I always wear the same suit is because I try and get that debate out of the way. You know, I used to have plastic glasses, and it was always yuppie glasses, and you think, well, God, I'm sorry, I'm short-sighted. What do you want me to do? You know, yeah. I feel it's the content that matters, and if you're proud of your gear and you really think you've got a very, very funny show, and I've been 2 years preparing this one, then the wider the audience, the better, and BBC One provides it.
And of course, but the thing is that, of course, it's self-evident that the more popular, the wider your appeal, the less it will be for a narrow band of people who don't normally associate with anything that could be regarded as popular.
Well, I think that narrow band of people are narrow in more ways than one. They're narrow-minded, and I don't think there's that many of them. I mean, there may be some sort of... you know, face-reading, you know, perennial student with his 16 old Doc Martens, you know, sitting around thinking anything that's vaguely, you know, vaguely popular is... I'm not referring to you, Tessa, I know.
Another slur.
But I don't think that's what it's about. I mean, some of the very best stuff, I mean, has been the most popular as well. I mean, you can get very popular stuff which is rubbish, and you can also get very elitist stuff which is rubbish. I mean, I mean, trying to plan who your audience is a very patronising and I think a very naff thing to do. You just do the best stuff you can and put it before the public when you're ready to do so. You know?
Is it going to be based, this new series, is it going to be based on anything to do with the tour, that back-breaking tour that you did?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the material that I road-tested, so to speak, around the country last autumn, you know, I was very proud. I did all new material and a fair bit about you, actually, in the opening section. And some of that will be used in the show. I mean, we've kind of TV'd it up. I mean, I think a big mistake that people make when they try and put... try and create the excitement of a theatre in a television studio. I mean, it's not something you've ever tried to do, but is to think that you've got to just pretend it's a theatre. You know, like there was a terrible time for comedy in the early 80s where people were thinking, oh, something exciting's happening in clubs. So the way to get that excitement onto the screen is to have 4 tables in the front of the studio with candles on them and pretend it's a club. That's not the way to do it. You know, the way to do it is to say television is a great medium. It's not a theatre. It's a TV studio. Use it. That's what we try to do with Friday and Saturday Live, to say we want the same impact of a variety show that you used to get on those wonderful bills, and this very theatre used to have variety bills on. But you won't get that by pretending that it's a theatre. You get that by embracing everything that television's got to offer. And that's what we're trying to do with The Man from Auntie. I mean, the producer of Friday Live's come with me to this show. And between us, we're trying to get all that great gear, which I believe is very funny. I mean, I wouldn't have stood up in front of all those people and done it if I hadn't thought it was. All that great gear, but just make it work for telly. I mean, we're doing some quite interesting things, actually. Little can be revealed at present, because it is very topical, but I think there's a degree of spice there.
You're whipping everybody up to a frenzy here of anticipation.
I have so. It's a pretty mega plug, let's face it.
Well, look, were you completely banjaxed after the tour? It was a killer of a tour.
It was, yeah, but I mean, it was hard work. I often think that we artists, in large inverted commas, are much indulged, actually. I mean, you know, I was doing a 3-hour show every night, and that was quite hard work. But you know, I mean, you know, it's not an 8-hour day. It's not 8 hours down a coal mine or being a checkout person or something. I mean, it was very hard work, but I think a lot of people work very hard for a living, and probably the hardest job of all is to be unemployed, you know, when you don't want to be and you've got a 24-hour job of tension and frustration.
Oh, yeah, no, it drives me mad to hear people talking about the stress of show business, laddie, and how terrible it is. Tremendously hard. It's a piece of cake.
I mean, Noel Coward once it was a great gag. He said, life... I won't do a Noel Coward impression. You've just done it for both of us. No, I shan't. That would blow my cred, wouldn't it, doing a Noel Coward impression? He said, a life in a theatre would be all very well if it wasn't for the bit of unpleasantness between 8 and 10 each evening, which I think is a nice way of sort of like debunking that idea that it is terrible. I mean, I like to think I work hard, you know, but... no harder. I mean, there was all that stuff when Bruce Springsteen was touring. 3 hours, the boss, he really pumps for you, you know, the sweat pours, and you think, well, I bet, you know, down the old pits are thinking, God, that guy must work, you know. It's you know, not to knock Bruce on me, but it was hard work, but, you know, I was quite relaxed to enjoy my turkey.
What about Blackadder?
Is it? Don't say, is there going to be another one?
No, I didn't.
Good, okay, because I think at the moment it's wonderful that people enjoyed that fourth series so much. I mean, it took us very much by surprise. I mean, even Rowan, I don't think it had as big a hit as that before, and certainly for the likes of myself, you know, kind of 13 million viewers and all that was terrific. But this press got hold of this, will there be another? And we never plan anything. There's 2 years between each series. Maybe there will, maybe there won't. But I think if Rowan, which will not happen, and he will live to ripe old age and be as funny and successful as he always is, but if he were to die tomorrow, I swear, on his gravestone would be etched. Now, come on then, Rowan. Is there going to be another Blackadder or isn't it? We were just thrilled with the success and the fact that taking on quite a dangerous area like, you know, World War I and things, and that hopefully not in any way getting cheap laughs out of the sacrifice or anything like that, but nonetheless getting some comedy out of a very serious situation. We were pleased, because if you take serious and funny together, you get seriously funny.
The end was a plucky... No, that's right. The end was a plucky thing to do, wasn't it? The ending.
Well, there was a degree of risk there, but we were very sure. I mean, when Richard and I sort of decided on the script, we knew that the acting talent was way ahead of us, you know. I mean, it's always delightful the way they improve every line. And with John Lloyd's production, it was... We felt safe. I mean, there's no reason why there shouldn't be a degree of pathos, a degree of sincerity and a gag. I mean, doing The Man from Auntie, I'm working for the light entertainment department, as indeed you are. And I think that's a bit of a misnomer. I don't think comedy should always be seen as light entertainment. That doesn't mean it's got to be heavy, heaven forbid, but it can have some weight, you know what I mean? It can have some content. And I think it'll be all the funnier for it. So when, you know, Blackadder and Baldrick were standing there, you know, and the last line when Blackadder says, "Who'd have noticed another madman running?" I hope that's funny, and I hope it's funnier for the fact that there's maybe a degree of truth in there. We didn't think it was a risk, but it was certainly a departure, and it's been a great thrill that so many, we've had such a wonderful... A gentleman wrote to me who was wounded on Normandy's beaches, and that was terrific to get a letter like that, because he said it, you know, it meant something. But he also found it funny, which is the most important thing.
I haven't actually seen you or talked to you since the time you sat in.
And very little then. He said, "There you go, there's your seat. I'm off." It's true. People say to me, "What's he like? What's he like?" I say, "I have no idea. I've spoken to him under the light." Well, we had a little tipple upstairs.
But can I ask you now, how was it for you?
They're very easy, I've got to say. You go for one little knob gag and everybody's screaming. I can't believe it. There you go. Well, you taught me anything to do about comedy. There's me trying to be subtle about World War I, and you say, "Did it happen for you?" Everyone says, "Yeah, it says it's getting saucy."
You had your chance to answer, now she's wound us up.
Well, filling your space was lovely, Terry. There you go, that's a doodle for you. Ben Elton.
Thank you. Thanks to old Benji here, to Rick and the Adventures. We're all off to be blown up the Uxbridge Road. But Wednesday's another day to keep your hand on your hat. And we'll be helping all you romantic souls to celebrate St. Valentine, along with such acknowledged experts in matters of the heart as Barbara Cartland, Anna Rayburn, and the newly-wed but hardly been kissed, Bertice Reddy. It's definitely one to warm the cockles. Wednesday at 7 o'clock. See you then. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you.